Yes, suicide's becoming all too common among teens, and it touched my life personally as a school counselor. From the time that Tara was a kindergartner, she was in my care, and she would come into my office and I would work with her on bullying. People were bullying her from the time she was a kindergartner, and it didn't stop when she got into high school. She was popular, she was beautiful, everyone loved her, but there were some girls on her drill team that did not love her. They were very jealous of her, which often we know drives bullying. And as a result of that, Tara went to her school counselor, she went to her principal, she went to her mom, she went to every adult that she could think of, and her mom was a single parent, listened to her, tried to get her support. Unfortunately, the school wasn't as supportive as they had hoped, and as Tara continued to cry out, things continued to happen at school, and sadly, as a result of that, Tara ended her life at age 17. Obviously, her mom was absolutely devastated. Tara was her world. But the thing I remember the most through all of this is after Tara took her life, I was one of the speakers at her funeral. And when I stood up and I looked up in the balcony and this church was filled with teenagers, the only thought I could think before I spoke is, I wonder if Tara had done what she did, if she could see what I see now. And so as a result of that, I have a strong passion to reach kids who are being hurt, who are being bullied. I talk about suicide because unfortunately our teens are looking at that as an option, and strongly teaching them this book, it's not an option. There are things that you can do, and we talk about that in Stand. We give some ideas. We talk about who they can go and talk with. I give them even the 800 number to the suicide prevention hotline, because when teens are in desperate places, they're not always hearing the truth, and if they're considering suicide, we know they're not hearing the truth. So they've got to have an outlet. They need to have that voice of truth coming into their mind, and so into their heart. And so as a result, I do talk a lot about suicide, because I never want to have to stand in front of a group or a church again filled with teenagers and watch a parent on the front row like I did with Tara's suicide. And we know that these kids do things so rash, and they have, unfortunately, they have things at their disclosure that they can use. And so suicide was a very passionate topic for me in this book, and giving kids an out, letting them know they're loved, letting them know how much God loves them, but letting them know that there are people there that will love them, that will embrace them no matter what they're walking through, and talking with them about how tomorrow will look different if they can just hold on. And so there are several things that I talk about in that book, the most important thing being that reach out. Don't stop reaching out until you reach someone. And if all else fails, call that 800 number of that suicide hotline, because someone will be there that's trained to talk with them.